I'm going to talk about Texas quarterback Arch Manning and preview the 2025 season. I want to look at his strengths. I got three main strengths heading into the season that I want to talk about based off what the film showed, what the data shows limited, but still what we have to go off of. We'll look at the QB Spotlight model. It's a model we made combining the accuracy and efficiency, explosiveness, athleticism, turnover avoidance, and then third down and red zone situational football. It's a new model that we made that we're kind of excited to showcase. And then we'll talk about the improvement areas. Again, there hasn't been much. There's not a lot of film to say he needs to improve on, but the main thing is consistency throughout the entire season. So we'll hit on that as well. And then we'll hit on the 2025 season, kind of preview it, what Arch needs to do against the bigger games of the year for Texas to hit their win total at 9.5, or at least it's 9.5 right now, depending where you're getting that number. So let's go ahead and talk about the three traits that I think make Arch one potentially the best quarterback in college football, but the three main strengths that stick out for Arch Manning. Here, number one, it's his deep ball ability. This is something that Texas hasn't had consistently the past few years. A lot of blame has been at Quinn. I think Quinn's a great quarterback. Sure, there are some inconsistencies at time on those type of throws, but it's also the offense that Sark ran with Quinn. A lot of balls were completed behind the line of scrimmage. You had, Xavier Worthy and some other fast receivers these past few years where you get the ball out quickly and they tend to do the rest of the work. So there's no need to take deep shots constantly. Now, with that said, I think Arch Manning probably presents a different strength maybe Quinn had, and it showed last year. He was 8 of 19 where the balls were thrown 20 yards or more downfield. His yards per attempt were 10.4. So he was pushing the ball downfield, and he was completing on a fair amount of those throws. Again, he only started in 2 games. He had a lot of playing time against UTSA, then had some mop-up duty in other games, and then some like packages in, Georgia and A&M. So he didn't get a huge chance, but he's 2.5 to 3-ish full games if you combine everything else he had in 2024. So it's his deep ball ability. He can throw it off a play action. He can throw it outside the pocket on the run, which we saw, and then he can do it on a straight drop back pass. So he can hit you from 3 different ways. So I think we'll see this utilized more. I think Arch has a big ability to do this, and I think he can stretch the field downfield. So I think we'll see this a bit more than maybe what we have seen the past few years out of Texas's offense. Strength number 2. The ability to fit the ball into tight spaces and into tight windows. Sark's offense, it schemes guys open, right? It centers on scheming guys open. But what happens when you play Georgia and you can't scheme anyone open? When they're forcing the quarterback to throw receivers open, Arch has that ability to fit the ball in the tight windows and to throw guys open. It doesn't have to be designed or schemed up. There's nothing wrong with scheming open a receiver. You want to make it easy on your quarterback. And maybe that, works against UTEP and San Jose State and some of these other schools. But against Ohio State, against Georgia, you're going to have some situations where you have to throw your receivers open. And Arch has that ability to do that. So when the defense takes away the schemed open play or the open receiver, can your quarterback throw guys open? Arch has that ability. And then the last key is his athleticism. Now, we saw this last year, and if you keep up with Texas camp, you have his teammates talking about his speed, his athleticism. He had 140-something yards on the ground, not including sacks last year, and he had 4 rushes of at least 10 yards or more last year, again, in limited playing time. But you did see that. Now, Sark's not going to center the offense around running Arch, but I think it's going to be a threat. It's something the defense has to prepare for. And I think we're going to see it sprinkled in. And I think we'll probably see it even more often on big third downs, on big games where you need, to kind of pull out all the stops to win the game. So you could see it in week 1 against Ohio State. You could see it at Georgia. You could see it at A&M when they come to Austin this year. But it's a threat that defense has to prepare for. And it's also going to help open up other plays within the offense. So what does he need to improve on? I don't think we have enough data to necessarily show that, but you just want to see consistency. You want to see consistency through the entire season. That's the main question. Can he live to the hype that us, fans, media is creating? I think yes. I'm pretty sold on Arch Manning, but can he be consistent throughout the entire season, facing a tough schedule? And something we saw briefly, if I can nitpick, again, there's not a lot of data from last year because he only started in 2.5, 3 games of full playing time, holding on the ball a bit too long at times. This is nitpicky. We really only saw this against Georgia when he had that limited playing time. So this is probably not even fair for me to say. Long story short, we just want to see consistency next year in 2025. So let's look at his QB Spotlight model. So he came out as an 87, and this model is fairly strict. I probably need to make some tweaks on it. It's our first year utilizing this. But the highest returning quarterback in all of college football was at 89.1. Just to give you some context, only 3 quarterbacks broke 90 last year. So it's a really strict model, but it gives us a good enough idea and broad breakdown of what a quarterback's strengths are and kind of some areas to improve on. So Arch was actually 87 was like the second highest quarterback returning in college football. And he just had enough stats and playing time to qualify. We have a certain threshold that you have to reach, and he just had enough. You can say it's kind of inflated. It's against ULM. It's against, 2.5, 3/4 of UTSA, and then it's against Mississippi State, the worst team in the SEC. So it's not against great competition, but still we have to go off of his adjusted completion percentage and his yards per attempt. You combine that makes our accuracy / efficiency model. That's one of the main traits that we use to score here. Interceptions only 2, 20-yard plus completions. He had 8. So explosiveness is another area that we look at. His athleticism, again, 146 yards on the ground without sacks. That's our 4th area that we rate. And then his QBR, which we use, it's not perfect, but we use for third down and red zone kind of situational football, right? QBR takes into consideration other things as well, but what we have to use right now. So it gives him a high score, mainly because he did pretty well in all these categories. Again, limited playing time, not great competition. This could change higher or lower this season, but something we'll keep track of and we'll keep rating for all these quarterbacks during the season. So let's go ahead. Oops, what did I do? Here we go. So let's go ahead and look at the 2025 season and preview real quick. What does Arch need to do? What does Texas need to do as a ball club to eclipse this 9.5 win total? Well, I think it comes down to 5 games. Ohio State, week 1. Then you go to Florida. I think that can be a tricky game. I think Lagway is a damn good quarterback. He could be the best quarterback in the SEC. If he's healthy, we've seen some different reports, but if he's healthy and he's playing good football, he has a way to make the whole team around him better, which doesn't show up in the box score. It doesn't show up on stats. You just have to be a football guy to kind of understand and realize that ability and the effect it has on the team. I think also, obviously, Oklahoma, even if they're still down like they have been, that game is always coin flip. That game can always get drunk, right? I remember watching that game since I was freaking 6, 7 years old. That no matter if a team is struggling or not, that game is coin flipping. Then you go to Georgia. That's a huge game. Then you finish with Texas A&M. So you have to go out a minimum 3-2 against those 5 teams to hit your win total. If you can go 4-1, that leaves some room for error. I really don't see losing to San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. You go to Kentucky, you go to Mississippi State, 2 of the lower end teams in the SEC, if not the bottom 2. Then you have Vandy at home. And then you go to Arkansas. Arkansas can be tough. They can be tricky. They're always an upset team. So as long as you don't have any slip-ups and you can go 3-2 against those main 5 schools, you should be able to hit that win total and get yourself to the SEC championship. Obviously, Texas fans want to go undefeated. You want to go 11-1, 12-0, all that stuff. I get it. But I think going 3-2 and hopefully you can go 4-1 against those 5 schools that we mentioned should put you in a good spot to eclipse that win total. But Texas fans, I want to hear from you. What do you think about Arch Manning? What are his 3 areas, his strength areas? What areas do you want to see consistency throughout the season? Let me know your thoughts on Arch, the season, the model that we created. Again, it's a work in progress, but does a good enough job giving us a baseline, and we're going to use it during the season this year. And we'll have more Arch Manning content. We put out a lot of SEC quarterback content. So if you like SEC quarterback play, if you like Arch Manning, we're based out in Austin, kind of Dripping Springs area. So Texas are one of the schools, or Texas quarterbacks is one of the schools that we've covered traditionally the past few years. So feel free to subscribe, like, share, all that YouTube stuff. It helps us grow. We'll see you next time. Peace.